Hello and welcome to Ham Nation, episode 564 for January 17th, 2024. Hey, hello everybody. I'm Josh KI6NAZ. Thanks for coming on out here to the Ham Radio Crash Course, home of Ham Nation. We're going to jump right in. We got a full list of hosts with us today. Randy is back. He is live on location, which he's going to be talking about. How are you doing today, Randy?
Doing wonderful. I'm in nice, warm Tucson. I got out of the rain of Oregon. We had 6 inches there yesterday.
Oh, my goodness. Was it just chasing you as you went away? You brought the rain to Arizona, as some people say, or how's it doing out there?
I will give you the Quartzfest weather report later on during the show.
Ah, very good. Stay tuned for Quartzfest. Actually, both Gordo and Randy are going to be talking about Quartzfest. And Gordo, how are you doing today?
We are doing fine. And 30 years ago, the major Northridge earthquake, and we actually have some audio sounds of hams doing their best during the earthquake.
I was a little young to be a ham, but I was in Whittier for the Whittier Narrows quake. I was right smack dab in the middle of it, and that was a shaker. I remember that all the time. I remember that one, but thanks for joining us, Gordo. And it almost like he was staged there by folks from the ARRL. One, Don Wilbanks. How you doing, buddy? Catching up on the QSD, I see.
We got Goodgame on tonight. He's a teacher, so there's probably going to be some kind of a friggin' test or something.
There's a quiz, yeah.
Yeah, of course. I want to be prepared, for crying out loud. Let me get these things off my old man glasses. Hi, we're 50 miles north of the Gulf of Mexico, and it was 17 degrees last night.
That's crazy.
Which clearly is one of the signs of the apocalypse.
Yeah, if it starts snowing, I think that's when we really start having a problem over in those parts.
We've had snow down here, but we did have what I refer to as, since I grew up there and have some frame of reference, we had the equivalent of a good old Oklahoma ice storm down here last night or night before last, actually. It got down to like 24, and it started raining right about the time we hit 32. And so there was a nice little 1/8 to 1/4 inch sheen of ice on everything.
Just enough to make the driving fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, it wasn't on the roads. They shut down bridges, of course.
Yeah.
And these people down here, hell, they can't drive in the rain, much less the ice, because they don't know. It happens once every 5 or 6 years, and they don't remember the last time because clearly we've all been drinking because it's we're near New Orleans. But anyway, that's not why you called. We're going to warm up with some solar update stuff from Dr. Tamitha Skov. And, of course, we've got the Newsline crew. And there's going to be some highly technical terms tonight that I want you to listen for on Tamitha's report. They are, might want to jot them down now and listen for them and take notes during the report. They are whoosh and bang.
Ooh.
You're listening for there may even be a whoosh hyphen bang. I'm just telling you now.
That's scary. Amanda's not here, and we got to mention Amanda. Amanda got COVID, so she's resting up. But in the Amanda position, I don't know if he's ready to handle the responsibility of the Tamitha Skov drinking game that Amanda does in the YouTube chat. But Steve Goodgame, 5 ATA. There you go. Don's gonna jump in. He's filling the Amanda role for that one. But Steve is with us. How you doing, Steve?
Fantastic. As long as the drinking game is drinking coffee, then I can probably compete.
We'll make an exception for you, yeah.
But no, we're doing great, living the dream. Some big news that we'll share with you here in a little while. Coming out of headquarters, to do with our friend Gordo over here. So looking forward to that and glad to be here. So thank you for having me.
Well, excellent. Thank you for being available to do that. We're going to it's kind of a combo. It's a Gordo and Randy short shots this week, but Gordo's going to kick it off. So Gordo, why don't you tell us all about Quartzfest?
I will, but first, listen to this 30 years ago from a ham on location.
VD, go ahead with the damage report on freeway.
Roger, 4 miles north of Devonshire on the 405. There's quite a bit of buckling in 2 different places and a lot of concrete up, so you got to go through there real slow.
Those were the ham operators.
Freeway 10, and what section?
at about 4 a.m. But here was the harrowing report, and you've probably seen it on television tonight. Listen to this one ham operator describing, well, you take a listen, and we'll have it repeated twice. Listen carefully.
That will be eastbound and westbound. Here, Washington, the bridges are down.
The what? Say that.
That will be eastbound and westbound. Here, Washington, the bridges are down.
Wow.
The bridges are down. So big things happen. And luckily, ham radio operators are always there, especially those ARRL radio operators with their training for such calamities. All right. Well, some of that training is going to take place this weekend and all next week at Quartzfest. So, Josh, if you want to go ahead and roll that first shot. Quartzfest is in the middle of the desert along a well-traveled route that Randy will tell you about. And it's sort of a long way. Randy, does that look familiar?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it does. Just long routes to get there. It's about 5
Straight
hours from
roads.
anywhere and a lot days from others. And this is where up to thousands of RVers will go for the big RV show. But at Quartzfest, a lot of the hams head for Quartzfest, about 5 miles south of town. Signage is good. We've got all the signs up for folks to check into the welcome tent. They get registered and officially placed on the roster. And that is Chris. And Chris and Lynn have been doing this for, about 8 or 9 years as leaders. And I started at the very beginning of Quartzfest, 25 years ago. And it just continues to grow. Where to park? You park anywhere you want to around where the festivities are. And there is no hookups. There's no water other than what you bring and the rain we may get on Sunday or Monday. But this is the layout of where we park. And if you don't decide to bring an RV and you decide you want to park a tent, by golly, bring your tent. And we've got an area just for tent campers. And yes, we have porta potties as well. We're going to have a lot of league officials coming back from the big meeting that you'll hear Steve talk about, and that's always drawing a crowd. And that takes place on Friday. So for those that want a long weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, Quartzfest is a good one. That's not this Friday, but a week from this Friday. The Quartzfest area is hard-packed sand, so you don't worry about getting bogged down with your RV or your four-wheeler. And there is some vegetation that you see there, but don't walk into it because it's all prickly and it'll get your attention. W7Q, Tom KG7 Delta Kilo November, is leading the charge with a team of about 8 or 9 of his operators. And this is an open station. It is a special event station coordinated through the American Radio Relay League, and it will be on from daybreak till sundown every single day. So we encourage new operators to try new modes because they've got everything inside that trailer from digital to analog to, well, you name it. W7Q, that'll be our call sign on scene. We don't just talk the talk and walk the walk at Quartzfest. We've got live gear, and a lot of the live gear goes under comparison for signal strengths and so on. So if you're not going to Quartzfest, but you're out there and you hear us, W7Q, looking for a station, we could be asking you to give us the difference of one antenna automatic tuner to another one. These are antenna tuners that go at the antenna end, not the ones built into your transceiver. And yes, we're going to be on TV, and whereby that's Gary and Mike, and they have the amateur television network, and they set up microwave stations all over the place on the microwave bands to relay some of the talks. So those that decide not to leave their trailer or their RV can actually watch them and hear all the sound right from their TV and their RV if they go to a cable channel, and they give you all the instructions. And And that way, if it's raining, which it's supposed to do on Sunday, maybe Monday, we can still watch all of the activities and the seminars. And we'll have seminars on different frequencies as well, maybe without video. Now, speaking of videos, we always have a lot of hams that bring their DVDs and old VCR tapes and so on around the campfire. Can't quite see the campfire here because we didn't want the smoke to get in the way of the screen, but we have videos on most nights, and they're always well attended. And, of course, the Hootenanny. That's Russ all the way to the right. His Hootenanny team has everybody hollering and just having a terrific time as they're attending about sundown on, I believe it's Thursday night, could be Wednesday night. I'll look on the schedule. But anyway, middle of the week, it's always a crowd gatherer. And Jerry and Amy, they turn up everywhere. These ladies come from the Bay Area. You probably already know all about them. They've been at PacificCon and many of the other ham conventions, and they are radioactive. Here they're on Whisper, trying to see how far away they can get an echo of their signal. And they got all the way to Europe. I think that's pretty outstanding. But the wind was blowing like a mama, and that sometimes happens at Quartzfest. Everything is on solar power. So watch the solar panels. They're all over the place, and we've got to anchor them down this weekend because it's really supposed to be windy. Oh, yes, dogs are welcome. Cats are welcome. All four-leggeds are helped. We actually have a pet parade, and we do the judging. And this one, I can tell, has both Yaesu and Icom equipment. I don't see Kenwood, although we are going to see, from what I hear, Kenwood coming to Orlando. So if you wondered where Kenwood is, they're going to be joining the group at Orlando, and I'll be there as well. And we have everything posted on the big boards. And probably one of the most favorite things is you can take your examination for any class of license at 11:30 to 12:30, but you know it goes every single day. And this is put on by one of the lead examiners that has introduced Zoom exams, and that is WM7X, and that's Stephen. And, you know, last year they did 722 individual exam sessions with 8 or 9 or 10, and I'm one of them, that monitor the exam and sign the forms. But he does Zoom sessions every single day. And here at Quartzfest, they really gang up on him, and he is going to have a outsider trailer full of examinees taking the exams. So we're beginning to see the transition from the old paper exams, which we always had a hard time keeping in place during the wind, going over to electronic. And they supply the tablets as well. Oh, yeah, you RVers and off-roaders, we've got all the activities for you. And that is one day of hitting the trails and going to spots you would just not believe are drivable, but we have leaders that will do that. And this is my favorite. It's almost like hunting DX, but it's doing it down at a couple hundred kilohertz, and that is finding metal things that folks have left behind, or some of the coins and little badges and things that I'll leave behind. So that is one of the fun things that we'll do on Wednesday about noon, before I have to head back because I'm teaching a U.S. Coast Guard radio class the very next day here along Newport Beach. So I'm with you for half the time this year at Quartzfest. And, of course, AC, he's always a figurehead at Quartzfest. He says he'll have his DMR set up on there. And Friday and Saturday, the last few days of Quartzfest, after the ARRL, Dick Norton presents his take up of the big meeting this week. He'll come and talk on Friday, and then also on Friday morning early and Saturday morning early is the swap meet, and that's always a good one. Oh, you never know who's going to be aiming a camera at you, do we? Here's Randy.
There'll be a lot of cameras there. There's a lot of YouTubers I think will show up there. I don't have a number. I know of 3 or 4, but I'm sure they'll be all over the place. So let me share my screen here, and we'll continue on. Push the magic button here. So I left Gold Beach, which is on the southern Oregon coast, on Friday, and I'm now in Tucson at Barry's house, K6GVB, and he and I will be going to Quartzfest on Friday, get in there Friday afternoon.
I don't see the share yet, Randy.
I don't. Oh, I'm sorry. Now it's full screen.
That's right. Saturday is our Amateur Television Network Day early in the morning, this coming Saturday morning, and we'll be on Whereby and many of the other channels as well.
There you
go. Go ahead, Randy. We'll see you now.
Okay. Working now?
Mm-hmm.
It's working great, Randy.
Okay. So my wife is amazed at how long it takes me to get my stuff ready to go. I can get my clothes together in like 1 hour, just a pile of t-shirts, a pile of underwear, a pile of socks there. But getting the stuff ready, those two big black tins are filled with some pretty old Heathkit stuff that's in kind of sad shape. They'll be at the swap meet on Saturday morning. The truck is loaded. Here you can see a couple of the Heathkits poking out their face out there a little bit. I think I'm just going to offer these for free. You know, anybody who's doing any rebuilding, needs more knobs or whatever, come see me Saturday and do that. So you always need, what do you say, Gordo? Spares for your backups, or is it backups for your spares?
Both.
So, you know, there's extra propane tank so I can have heat, although it's going to be, I think, quite a bit warmer. Gas for the generators, blocks to get the trailer level, cones to block out our space and stuff like that. I loaded up my John Deere Gator with a whole bunch of stuff going into the trailer, clothes and food and equipment, and I take all the dishes and stuff, run them through the dishwasher before I go, so everything's freshened up. And of course, once I'm done loading my stuff, I go and get another additional Gator full of wood for my wife so she can remain nice and warm and cozy with the home fires while I'm
there
gone.
you go. And Randy, we're still on that slide number 1 on view.
That's weird.
Yeah, it looks like you're on slide 1. You may have to go. Oh, I can see your mouse moving though. So there you go.
Now we got it.
Or maybe you go full screen and then you can use the arrows or something.
Okay, go ahead, Randy. We show a trailer.
Yep.
Good looking trailer.
Okay. And I should go. I'm watching here on the YouTube. Anyway, here I am headed down the hill. Last Friday morning, we have a pretty steep driveway, so that the first minute of the drive is always an interesting one, and four-wheel low. And I did do a little skid on the wet there, but we made it. So are we? I don't see the full screen.
So click on slide 6. I think you're on 5 right now is what we're seeing.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not familiar. I don't use LibreOffice. You're on Libre right now, so I don't see the next slide. You're on 5 right now from what we can see.
Like
there
you go. I think if you hand click it, you're probably okay. Or whatever you just did, you got the way.
Let's just do it this way.
Okay. Good enough.
Okay. So we had this big storm on the West Coast. Like I said, my wife told me this morning I had 6 inches of my rain gauge. I need a bigger rain gauge. So just click through here.
And
I made
got
3.
It. Good.
Okay, I made 3 stops on the way down. 4 days of driving. So my first 2 days are only about 4 hours. So on the first day, I stopped along and did a POTA activation at one of the parks along the ocean, and I did 15 contacts.
Wow,
so,
good.
All on 20-meter phone, and I have a video on this on my channel. So this is, see, from 12, 21. That doesn't make sense. Well, they're all at the same time. That's weird. Anyway, took me about 20 minutes, I think, to get all the contacts. So that worked out good. Here I am at one of the campsites. I get set up for the night, take care of things. Here I am at another campsite, and this night I also put up my antenna. So I have this 25-foot fiberglass mast with just a wire and the Icom AH4 tuner, my 7100. and I got on 20 meter FT8 and look at my first contact, D2UY in Angola.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Good job.
And then I was poking around at something else. I saw my call sign show up red in the list, and there's a guy from Chile calling me. So pretty good DX that night. Here's what my station typically looks like inside. These are from Oshkosh, but computer. I did bring the extra monitor. Here's the IC 7100. I have a Yaesu dual bander, and here you can see the Icom tuner. Here's my wire with a little Wago lever nut thing, and just the wire goes up to the top. I'm really kind of amazed at how well that all worked. Running APRS on the grip, so this is my last day's drive from Banning, California, to campground there over to Barry's house. So it was a good drive. Quartzsite weather. I think this is going to be one of the warmest ones that I have ever been to. Here it's in the 70s.
Yeah.
We got this kind of a dark and dreary day maybe on Monday, but we put our raincoats on and umbrellas, and we're still out having fun. And the place doesn't turn muddy; it's just just wet. So, and of course, we'll be tracking all the crap into our trailers and things. But hey, Quartzfest is kind of like Burning Man after old radio hams. This is the frequency that everybody needs to be listening to, 146.55. This is the talk-in frequency. There's people all over listening. If you have trouble finding the place, especially if you haven't been there yet, but if this is your first time, you just drive into this area and you go, am I in the right place? It all looks the same. Get on 146.55. People will talk you in. Somebody may hop on a motorcycle and come out and find you and take and bring you in. Every morning, starting Sunday, I think, Gordo, is the net 7:45. 7:45.
It is. I'm there to greet everybody at almost 8.
Gordo's on at 7:45. We're getting all the activities, changes to the schedules, the weather reports for the day, and get your paper and pen out and take some notes. And something you got to watch out for. We hear a lot of APRS running on 146.55. So, and of course, everybody's yelling on the radio, turn off your APRS, but the guy who transmitting has no idea. He's probably not even around. It's still running in his truck. So there's a Quartzfest Facebook group, and there's a lot of up-to-date information there all the time. I saw a little rumor the other day that, Gordo, did you get a new com van this year? Because I saw this thing. Because I saw this thing in the parking lot.
There it is.
But Neil W6FOG has one even newer than that. So, but they're fun. They're fun. Yep.
Okay, so
that's a goodie. That's a goodie.
I should be stopped there, and that's what the main thing is. Just get out there. You have fun. You just meet all sorts of people. Maybe a lot of them for the first time. You see old friends. I think we have 14 or 16 that are camping in our group, and group dinners every night, and inside the truck I have 2 whole bins of firewood that I snuck through the California bug station. And they ask you, any wood or fruit? No, I have nothing like that. And you just drive on through. So it's all going to Arizona.
This is live, Randy. You don't want to tell people
nice
what you're doing.
Online.
I'll just quickly mention this thing here in the background. Get my finger here in the right spot. Much delay here.
The light up screen there, yeah.
The light up screen. So that's 1,024 LEDs in a 32 by 32 matrix.
Wow.
I did a video, I think, back in December about using WLED, and I did strip lights on the shelf bottoms above my radio, so I can change colors and things like that. So this is the same WLED software, but in the 2D mode, and it just cycles through a whole bunch of crazy stuff. So I've been working on that the last day and a half, and going to Quartzfest. It'll be showing lots of LEDs in the desert. So I'm not sure where we go from here.
Oh, well, I've got a question for Gordo, actually. If Gordo, you got a second, I got a question that came in the chat from Frank. Gordo, how is Neil W6FOG doing? Is he going to Quartzfest?
Neil actually lives now in Quartzfest. And Neil is the one that runs this big Celeste, or is it Celestron? Anyway, it's a major-sized telescope.
Ooh, wow.
I mean,
Yeah,
you can count the rings, and he's only about 5 minutes away from where we are. So we're going to either take a long walk or ride over there and meet up with Neil. So, yep, Neil will be there.
This is another fantastic one. Gordo, do you still have your 454 El Camino? I didn't know you had a 454 El Camino.
Yes, that is a Chevy 76, and we'll probably show it in 2 weeks when we talk about Orlando. No, I'm not going to take the 76 wagon to Orlando, but original owner, and it's got the big engine, and yep, we still have it. And
Wow.
the
I know that had a 454 in it.
If you ever think about selling that, you let me know. I'm right down the street from you.
Well, that's good to know. And yes, I am thinking about it, and I'll contact you shortly.
Oh, man, that's a beautiful
idea. And at Quartzfest, we meet up with all of the area instructors, and we're going to have a couple of days of what's new with instruction and the new question pool, and talk about all that the league can now do for instructors that have been doing it, and some new things coming. So that'll also be in the area too, by Stephen's setup for testing.
Now, Gordon, I'm not one for gamesmanship and one-upsman stuff, but my 73 Trans Am had a 455 in it. I just want to make that note. That note.
Yeah, but his is older. His is classic.
And you said had in the past, and Gordo still has
that
his.
Original owner, too.
Yeah, there was a lady in 2005 named Katrina who wanted mine a little bit more than I did. So, yeah, it drowned, unfortunately.
Those are the questions I had, Gordo. So anything else you want to mention? Oh, Randy, do you have something? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to mention I will be giving a talk Friday night in the dark, so I can use my computer and stuff, and I'll be talking about receiving the ISS SSTV images. So Friday night, come down to where Gordo showed that big screen, I think is probably where we'll be at. So
that'll be terrific. Terrific.
All right. Well, I think with that, we're going to head on over to Icom and hear a word from them.
This winter, make your gatherings merrier, your message clearer, and your connection stronger with Icom. Whether inside the ham shack or on the air in the great outdoors, Icom has the radio every ham wants. The ID 5100AD is innovation and mobility taken to the next level. Designed from user input, the ID 5100AD offers an intuitive user interface experience with an industry-leading touchscreen display. This radio is one of the most advanced dual-band mobiles on the market today. The ID 52A is a VHF-UHF dual-bander with D-Star and FM dual functions, and is the first handheld amateur radio with a full-color 2.3-inch waterfall display. The new ID50A gives hours of fun and enjoyment working your favorite bands. Easy D-Star settings, band scope and waterfall display, voice messaging, share picture function, and it uses the same optional accessories as the ID52A, ID51A, and ID31A. Explore the world of microwave with Icom's new SHF portable, the IC905. This all-mode rig covers 2 meters through 70 centimeters, 1.2 gigahertz, 2.4 gigahertz, 5.6 gigahertz bands, and with the optional CX10G transverter, 10 gigahertz. Aim higher and enter the world of SHF. The IC7300 is a high-performance, innovative HF transceiver with a compact design that will far exceed your expectations. This is the radio that changed the way entry-level HF was designed. The real HF fun starts here. For the mobile and outdoor aficionados, Icom's IC7100 is road ready. At home or wherever you roam, Happy New Year from Icom. For more information about Icom's amateur radios and to locate a dealer, visit icomamerica.com/amateur.
You like that single frame of switch over there? I had not watched George's new ad, so thank you, George, as always, for sending the ads for Ham Nation. Yes, every time we're live, we really appreciate you. If you click on that link, the Enter Now link, Icom does a giveaway. They do a swag pack giveaway that includes hats, shirts, stickers, all kinds of other fun stuff. But after picking 3 people at the end of the month, when we go live, they pick a winner for a radio. And this month, if you scroll all the way to the bottom here, ooh, there it is. So the first prize for the year is an IC7 V3500. So the swag pack winners are Jose C, AJ0SE. I like that. Good call sign. Literally A Jose. That's awesome. Chris S and Eric S. Both are winners of swag packs. But the winner for the V3500 is Joe B, WB9VBVVH. Congratulations. And again, big thank you to Icom for sponsoring Ham Nation. We really do appreciate it. I'm going to give one shout out to a place I will be this weekend. I will be in Provo, Utah. We'll be doing the Preparedness Communications Conference at Fieldcraft Survival at HQ. It'll be a Friday and Saturday event, Saturday all day. It is multi-tracked, meaning I'm on, I guess you call it the ham radio track. There's other folks that are going to be doing land mobile type radios, covering things like GMRS, and I will be covering pretty much all the ham stuff, plus the bridging from GMRS and more of the locked radio systems into more of what we do here, what we've been talking about. I'm planning on doing a workshop, or what I would call a radio clinic. So if you bring out some radios and you need some programming or some help with stuff, I will be happy to do that. I will drop the link in the live stream as we move forward in the show, but just wanted to say, if you're in the Provo area, and I'm from California, which is a big state, and I realize that Salt Lake City is only 40 minutes from Provo. So yeah, there's no reason to not make it out there. So if you're in the area, come on out and say hi and have a little bit of fun. So there we go. I now get the opportunity to hang out with a good friend of mine, with Steve. Goodgame. How you doing, man?
Fantastic. How are you?
So catch us up. What's going on? I know the big thing for me, because I was active in it, was the what we were calling the Drop the Mic Live fundraising that we were doing too long ago. How did we end up with that?
The telethon. Thank you, by the way, Josh and Mike K at MRD for putting that together, and I know there are several people in the chat who gave to that, so thank you. We ended up the money kept actually rolling in after the telethon, so we ended up just under $20,000 raised. Wow. So nice. as far as putting that into perspective, that is about 2/3 of a teachers institute that we paid for there. So it's thank you for that. We're constantly trying to expand Teachers Institute. We're having 7 sessions this year. I've not informed the executive office yet that I've booked the entire conference room for the entire summer.
They know
Steve,
now.
You're one of those. You're one of those firm believers in it's better to ask for forgiveness than to beg for.
I was charged with grow the program, and so there. It's
careful
growing.
What you ask
I've
for,
just
right,
grown
Steve?
them out of their conference room. So
I like it though, and we do have the ARRL is literally in the chat. So they're shouting out ARRL HQ is in there. So
Steve
don't say
what?
anything. Who's ever behind the channel right now? Don't tell him what Steve's cooking. Okay, let him cook.
So, it's already there. I mean, it's on the web with the dates, so it is what it is. But so thank you again for that. And another piece or a couple pieces of big news. ARRL is now the publisher for the Gordon West license prep materials. So
what?
Yes. What? So as a result of that, all of the Gordo materials that you've known and loved for years will be available through the ARRL store. We're in the process of transitioning some of that stuff over right now, so they'll be showing up shortly in the store if they're not there already. I know that the folks at the warehouse and the product people have been working night and day getting that stuff together. And Gordo is the ARRL national instructor. He's long been he's long been kind of the national instructor. I've called him the Godfather for years.
The de facto the national instructor.
And so now we get to officially stamp him as the national instructor. So we're kind of building out and transforming our current license instructor program to include some of all of what what Gordo uses, because he's got some great material, and we're looking forward to working with him. And I get to hang out with Gordo at Hamfests, which is,
nice.
extra more epic.
Oh,
if
that
you want
is
me to
great.
be grammatically incorrect.
Yes.
So, wait, so that means that Gordo's going to be hanging out at the ARRL booths in a lot of the Hamfest going forward. Is that what that means?
That's right.
Oh
This
my
is
gosh, that's going to be great.
Excellent.
So, Gordo will bring his little honky horn and honk the horn and make a bunch of noise, and he and I will just have a grand old time together. So,
oh, that's wonderful.
So,
I love it.
Well, welcome aboard, Gordo, and I'm looking forward to it. So,
I am too. Thank you, Steve, and all the hard work you've already done ahead of me.
So, well, I'm just one little piece in a big machine of people that have been working tirelessly. Bob Inderbitson has been busy behind the screen taking care of. I mean, everybody at HQ has been working towards this. So, we are glad it is here. The board meeting is in town this week. I don't have anything to do with that. I know somebody referenced I'd be talking about that. Nope, I have too much other stuff to do.
Yeah,
so,
I would like to everybody watching to look to the positive, right? I know there's a lot of stuff that's going on with people talking about that. We're not dipping into that, and obviously we've got Steve on here, who is a great example of what the ARRL is doing to further our amazing hobby and the good work he's been putting forward for multiple years now. And this is the type of stuff we support. This is the whole thing, right? And so I'm not going to go any deeper than that. This is a living example of what good we can do and are doing via the ARRL that is using our money to facilitate this great work. And I just can't say enough about that. Even so far as Brian is getting me in trouble, WM8G is saying for the K5ATA Education Center and Coffee Fund. So if there's any budget that's probably higher than the Education Center, it's probably the K5ATA Coffee Fund. So I don't know what he's getting me wrapped up in, but now I'm going to have to bring him some more coffee for the next time I see him, which is probably going to be Orlando, right?
Yep, it'll be Orlando. I'll be in Orlando. I'm coming into my I guess one of my busier. I don't really have a slow time of year.
Right.
I figured out today that I'm in the office 5 days in the month of February because I'm on the road.
Oh, wow.
But it's teacher conference time, and I can't reach new teachers without going to where the teachers are. So we're going to a few nice teacher conferences to try to find some new blood to bring in that are interested in using amateur radio as a learning platform for STEM. And so I'll be heading to Austin, Texas, and then going straight from Austin to Orlando for Hamcation. Then leaving Orlando, heading to Columbus, Ohio for the Ohio Educational Technology Conference. I get to come home and wash clothes for about 3 days. And then I'm going down to speak at the ARRS 40th anniversary event.
Oh.
We've been fortunate. We've enjoyed a great partnership with ARRS over many, many years, and back when it was before ARRS and Cerrix. And so we're looking forward to getting to go down there and hang out with them and share a little bit with them about how we value that partnership, and that they do a lot of really cool stuff. I'm sure most of you saw the Today Show piece that a couple weeks ago.
Yes. Wonderful.
Good.
That teacher is a product of our Teachers Institute. Came out of there. We've worked with him. Joe Carshout at W1AW and I have worked with him for a couple of years to get that station designed and kind of implemented. And in fact, I just got a new picture from him today that said they've set their sights on EME next. They said, well, we've talked to the ISS, so now we're going to step out a little farther and we're going to do some EME. And they got some ASL stuff in today, and I got a picture of a couple kids assembling a new antenna on a roof. And so this is truly the exact type of program we're trying to build. These kids are on fire. I was in the room for the ARRS contact, the caffeine abuse fund. If I could show you a picture of the corner of my office, I think I have 15 bags of coffee staged. And
yeah, I've never met. So I'm a pretty heavy abuser of caffeine as well, but I've never met anyone like you in my entire life. Like, it's not a joke. If you watch him on social media and you see his pictures of coffee, that's like not It's not an exaggeration. It is not a joke.
And a couple people, in fact, I've already been promised a box of Dunkin' Midnight for the first day of Hamcation to kind of get me through the morning.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this program is the exact example that we're after, and we have another one that we're helping build up just down the street in Staten Island, New York. I just went down there on Friday, caught the train down, and we tested 35 high school students.
Wow!
Every one of them passed the test. A couple of, I think 4 or 5 went to general and 1 extra.
Wow!
And these kids are the same thing. In fact, I got an email from that teacher today saying these kids are pumped. They want to, they're looking to upgrade. And so we're building these partnerships with these schools and building the programs that, well, quite frankly, it's the modern version of the programs that a lot of us enjoyed when we were in school.
Mm-hmm.
So if we don't expose these kids to these possibilities early, then they don't ever get the idea that they can do anything cool with radio.
It's the future of the hobby.
It's not just the hobby either. It's the future of innovation and the future of STEM.
It's literally the STEM connection. We talked about this on the Drop the Mic stream. Is that this is one of the best ways to on-road kids into STEM. There's so many real demonstrative type things you can do with radio that is almost unachievable. Like programming's fun, but until you put it in a robot and it goes around and does a maze, blah blah blah, that's okay. But nothing like keying up a radio and then seeing something happening on the other side. There's nothing like that. It just is, and particularly with astronauts and everything else. Come on.
Yeah, and getting that on the Today Show, you're hard pressed to get better publicity than the Today Show.
Yeah, and that Harry Smith was down there over there, for hours. He was hooked. I mean, those kids, they had him sitting down at a radio. He was spinning the dial on the 7300, just listening to stuff. I mean, he was hooked. He only, we got 6.5 minutes of Today Show time, but he was there for 6.5 hours talking to kids, playing.
Really? Wow.
Playing radio.
Very cool.
He just had a good time, and he did. When he walked in, he didn't really know what to expect. He's like, man, this is gonna suck. And because he was picturing 1950s, what he saw on Stranger Things kind of stuff,
right? What his grandfather did, once upon a time.
He got there and he saw, these kids are programming, these kids build their own antennas, these kids design everything, they put it all together. He was like, man, this is epic. And that's what I was telling him is, this is the exact kind of thing that we need to message out to other teachers and schools. So,
right. So, Steve, obviously, again, we talked about this on the live stream. I think I didn't even mention. We should probably pull the web up for that. But yeah, that live stream's still up. There it is. The ARRL Teachers Institute Fund. It's over on Ham Radio Tube's channel if you want to check that out. But Steve, you can funnel funds, fundraising directly to you.
Directly to me, yeah.
And how would someone go about doing that?
So I think the link is still live on the Ham Radio Tube one, but if not, it's just
I'll grab it.
ARRL.org/give-to-STEM. And that money goes straight into the Education and Technology Program Fund, which can only be used for Teachers Institute. So it doesn't go into a general fund. It doesn't go to my coffee fund. It can only be used for TI. So
I found it.
Yeah, that pays to bring teachers to Newington for a week. It pays. We equip them with roughly $1,000 worth of stuff. I'm in the process now of trying to work with manufacturers and vendors and stuff to get some of the stuff at discounts, because the more I save, then the more teachers I can get through the door, because it's completely donor funded. So every penny counts in that.
It's appreciated. It really is, and I know we all support what you're doing, and I think there was Bob there in the chat. I think he was running the ARRL chat on YouTube. Appreciate what you do as well, Bob. So anyway, Steve, anything you want to mention before we head out here and go over to Don to say a little bit more about the Amateur Radio Newsline?
Other than, again, welcome aboard, Gordo, and
cheers to Gordo. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's one of those things we've kind of had to keep mum until it was officially there, and today's the day. So the timing was epic when you dropped the message.
Great timing.
It's you dropped a message saying, "Hey, can you do this?" I mean, I was up at 3:30 this morning working. I was like,
you really?
I looked at
3
my
a.m.
Bro, yeah.
Okay, we gotta let Steve go to bed.
Coffee.
If Steve's not there at the end of the show, nobody be surprised.
No, it's good. I'm caffeinated.
Okay, cool. This
Heavily.
is why he drinks so much coffee, obviously.
So,
well, thank you,
it's
Steve.
a necessity.
Appreciate you hanging out, and if anything comes up, feel free to chime in. You're one of the hosts tonight, so Don, take it away for us, man.
All right, good stuff, Steve. Yeah, and in fact, we're going to talk a little bit, well, actually a lot about that particular space contact on the Amateur Radio Newsline. And again, don't forget, we've got the solar update from Dr. T. Now, it came out on the 13th, so it's about 4 days old, but nonetheless, it's still really good information. She is actually teaching a course in space weather at a college, and so this is like her first week, so she didn't have anything new for us, but she tells us that everything is current that's on the report that you're going to see tonight. Things have kind of quieted down a good bit, but it's good stuff. And don't forget the whoosh and the bang, because with Goodgame on, there may or may not be a pop quiz. So let's go ahead and go to Amateur Radio Newsline. From Amateur Radio Newsline report number 2411, this is Ham Nation Headlines for Wednesday, January 17th, 2024. We begin this week with a story that captivated the national media here in the United States and social media everywhere. It was a contact made barely a month ago between Pennsylvania high school students and astronauts aboard the International Space Station. This was a contact, however, with something that set it apart from many.
Like so many other hundreds of contacts that have been made over the years between students and ISS astronauts, the well-publicized QSO with Harbor Creek High School near Erie, Pennsylvania, relied on the support of volunteers and staff who are part of the amateur radio on the International Space Station. They assisted with scheduling and helped coordinate the contact with NASA Mission Control in Houston. This was a very different QSO, however. About 3/4 of the participating high school students were licensed amateur radio operators. Young hams who developed, built, installed, and operated the radio system in preparation for this high-profile contact. They even assembled the antennas that were installed on the school building's roof. The result was a QSO with Commander Andreas Mogensen, KG5GCZ. It was arranged by ARRL and NASA, but made by students. And it was a contact the nation, if not the world, got to watch. This is Kent Peterson, KC0DGY.
Staying up in space, if you regularly promise yourself the moon for many of your radio contacts, you may have something to offer to fellow hams attending the next Earth-Moon-Earth Communications Conference later this year.
Organizers of the 20th International Earth-Moon-Earth Communications Conference have chosen the campus of the College of New Jersey as the host site for August 9th through 11th, but they still need presenters to discuss advancements in the mode. Although the conference focuses on operations at 432 MHz and above, amateurs with experience and expertise on 50 MHz, 144 MHz, and 222 MHz are also welcome. Presentations can range from 25 minutes to 50 minutes long, and can cover such topics as issues and procedures for EME options, unusual equipment, software, and of course, EME operating experiences. A new feature this year will be a live course called EME 101 for operators who are looking to get started in EME or want additional tips on gear or techniques for the different bands. This one-day class is separate from the EME conference and takes place on Friday, August 9th. Registration fee is $50, but attendees at the 3-day conference will be able to attend the EME 101 class at no extra charge. This is Sel Emby, KB3 TZD.
A ham radio operator who is best known as a beloved TV weatherman, even after his retirement 22 years ago, has become a silent key.
Marty Engstrom, N1ARY, was forever known as Marty on the Mountain among viewers of Maine's TV station WMTW Channel 8. His real job from atop Mount Washington, New England's highest peak, was to keep the station's transmitters on the air from there. Marty reluctantly agreed to read the regional weather report on camera as well, despite having no background in meteorology, and until his retirement in 2002, his folk seat delivery, awkward smile, and his clip-on tie became his trademark. In 2019, he was inducted into the Maine Association of Broadcasters Hall of Fame. Marty died on January 4th at his home in Maine after a brief illness, according to local news reports. He was 86. This is Andy Morrison, K9 AWM.
And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news since 1976 at arnewsline.org. With Kent Peterson, KC0DGY, Cell MB, KB3TZD, Andy Morrison, K9AWM, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe. I'm Don Wilbanks, AE5DW. 7-3. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation. Now here's the solar update from Dr. Tamitha Skov, WX6SWW.
The weather ramps up with some sideswiping solar storms and a lot of activity on the East Limb. Those stories and more are in the spotlight. Space weather this week is really picking up in activity. As we take a look at our Earth-facing disk, we had been watching this cluster of regions as they rotates to the west limb, especially region 3539, which has been firing a few low M-class flares, but it really hasn't been giving us any big solar storms or all that much to talk about, so we're not expecting all that much from it. As we take a look at the east limb, though, it's a totally different story. Look at all these active regions in Earth view. And if we take a look at the south, you can see this filament right here and some region in here. Watch it closely. You'll see it erupt in kind of a dual solar storm launch. Whoosh, right there. Did you see that? Now, it actually gave us this massive partial halo. We can even see a shock wave that came out. And this solar storm is actually going mainly southeast of Earth, but it does look like it's going to clip Earth just a smidge, probably around today, the 13th through the 14th. Maybe a little bit later, but likely not going to give us all that much. Now, as this region continues to rotate into view, or these regions continue to rotate into view, we also have a lot of other solar storms being launched off of the east limb, as well as a few big M-class flares, but nothing to really write home about yet. We're keeping our eyes on it. Meanwhile, take a look at this filament here as it begins to rotate further into view. On the 11th, this region launches as well as another solar storm. You'll see it right here, whoosh and bang right there. So you had a whoosh bang kind of 1-2 part solar storm launch. In fact, as we take a look at it in coronagraphs, you can see the whoosh and the bang right there. Once again, this kind of 2-part solar storm launch is giving us something that is not going to hit Earth, but it's going to graze Earth just a little bit. So we might see a little bit of unsettled conditions or possibly disturbed conditions around the 16th or so, mainly at high latitudes. It's not going to be that big of a solar storm thing. Meanwhile, on top of that, we have a small coronal hole. You'll see it here in a minute. There you go. There's that little coronal hole. This little coronal hole might give us some fast solar wind in about 4 or 5 days, well, maybe 5 days or so. Again, something very minor, probably only at high latitudes. And so we're just going to be dealing with that. But what we're really watching is all of this activity on the east limb. We have this big region here that's rotating into Earth view and a couple other regions from the sun's far side. In fact, as we take a look at our JSOC helioseismology far-sighted viewer, you can see some of these old regions that rotated off of the west limb back at the end of the year. End of the year. Do you remember the big solar flares we had at the end of the year? Yeah, these are the regions that have been going on the sun's far side. You can see them here in gold, and you can see the dark regions, especially region 3530, 3533, and one of the new regions, 3535. They are all surviving their far side passage once again, and it looks like they're going to be rotating back into Earth view here over the next maybe 3 or 4 days. So we could see that solar flux. It's going to dip down just a little bit for a few days, but as these regions rotate back into view, it's going to rise up again, as well as the risk for big solar flares and possibly chances for bigger solar storm launches that could be Earth-directed. So the space weather this week is definitely picking up in activity. We do have a couple side-swiping solar storms, and that could give us a little bit of a disturbance. So aurora photographers, if you're at high latitudes, well, you might get a bit of aurora enhancement. It's really hard to say. So only if you're dedicated should you chase. Now, aurora photographers at mid-latitudes, well, this probably isn't all that exciting. We may not see anything at all. So it might be better to sit this one out and keep your eyes on the east limb of the sun, because all that activity is soon going to be rotating to center disk And when it does, it could launch some Earth-directed solar storms. Now, amateur radio operators and emergency responders, well, this week's kind of a moderate week for you. We do have some big flare players on the Earth-facing disk, but they're not firing really big M-class flares or at an R2 or R3 level radio blackout. We're not seeing flares at that level, but we are getting a bit of moderate noise on the bands because there are so many active regions in EarthView, with even more planning to rotate into EarthView in a couple days. So just kind of deal with that this week. You should expect a bit of noise, but not too bad, and definitely some radio blackouts, but it shouldn't be long lasting. So enjoy the breaks in between and just hang in there because things will get better. Now, GPS users, well, we're having to deal with a little bit of a disruption on Earth's night side over the next couple days, but it may not be all that bad. And again, the noise on the bands with the radio blackouts isn't all that bad. So if you are, as long as you're paying attention to dawn and dusk and you're staying vigilant, your GPS reception should be pretty good. I'm Tamitha Skov, the Space Weather Woman. Thank you for watching.
And there you go. That is the latest from the Newsline crew, the best in the business. And, of course, Dr. Tamitha Skov, WX6SWW, also the best in the business. And we're so fortunate to have her on the team. Make sure you follow her on Twitter, at Tamitha Skov, X, whatever you want to call it. And, Josh, I'm not sure if you've ever noticed the little man over my shoulder. There's a little magnet on the...
No.
On the case behind me, but this is the little man.
Oh, it's Edgar Allan Poe.
It is. Do you know why he's over my shoulder?
Nevermore. Quote the Raven. Nevermore. I don't know. The Raven on your shoulder.
He's my cousin.
No way, cousin.
Yeah.
Direct cousin.
Yes. Yeah, I was my birth name at birth was Poe. And when I was adopted at birth, it was changed to Wilbanks. So I was born Don Allan Poe. Edgar Allan is my cousin. I found that out when I found my birth family 5 years ago.
Like straight cousin, like your sister.
Blood relative. Blood relative.
Whoa, that's
cousin,
wild.
Yes. Yeah, Poe. Poe was my original last name.
Did not expect that.
With. So there you go, cousin Edgar making a
wow,
making a cameo tonight. He's a little one-dimensional, as you can see. But, he's had better days. He's, So anyway, which actually, when you think about it, Josh explains a lot.
It does. It really does.
So back over to you now for more normal stuff. Well, what passes for normalcy.
Yeah, I love that. God, I'm going to have to ask your thoughts on absinthe in the future. What your favorite absinthe is? Who Poe is a big absinthe drinker.
There's a bar down here called the Old Absinthe House.
Is it really?
Oh,
really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I bet that's
it's been around for like
French.
400 years.
So that's probably probably be a pretty good place to go. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Come down here, we'll go.
I like it. So Amanda Amanda always wants you to walk away full. When she puts the show together, she wants a good hour. And she said, Josh, she's like, I don't know that we could do the hour, but we've already hit it, and we haven't even got to the match yet. So I'm going to do this really quick. She got me set up to talk about this, and I just want to hit it really quickly. I bought a little amplifier. This little amp of mine, I'm going to let it shine. I got this micro PA50. It's just to go along with my 705. So if you're ever thinking about, a lot of you do Parks on the Air activations with your 705 QRP, and you may want to add a little more oomph to it. And so it's about $175. There's other options. There's the Juma. The Juma that's available off of Row Waves, and they go for about $500, €599. So it's going to be a little bit more expensive for us Americans. But here's what it looks like if you put them right next to each other, and that's a 705 on the top. You don't need the power meter, but there's that micro PA, and the nice thing about that is that it's small. You don't have to deploy it. It's probably a decent amplifier for single sideband. Now, of course, I'm mentioning this. I'm mentioning that. Oh, I've got an echo. I'll mute this for a second. I'm mentioning this purely as just I got this. It came in the mail. We're setting it up. We're having a little bit of fun. I'm planning on taking it out on a couple of POTAs. But because we're pretty much out of time here, I will mention something that's always kind of a fun little deal that happens, that when you start playing around with amplifiers like these, you're inevitably going to get into the world of keying interfaces and how you deal with them. And a lot of times these keying interfaces, they're all tip ring sleeve, which is great, but it's balancing what this amplifier takes as tip ring sleeve versus what you might expect on the 705. And even when you think you get all things put together correctly, you still might not get the output you expect. And so what do we expect to happen? Well, we expect to happen when I key up, which it's going to work, at least I think it will. Yeah, it works. When I key up, we get a nice 50-watt output, which is great. And I'm using RTTY to do that. It's kind of like CW for at least doing a power test when you're running off of a microphone like this. Now, that's great, but I'm using it in more of a manual mode. The best situation is that you could use the send keying on the side of the 705 to tell the amplifier what band you're on, what you should be keying up at, that kind of stuff. But in this case, I am manually putting it over into the 40-meter band to get it to tune up there and give us the 50 watts that we need. Anyway, that's kind of that's just kind of what I wanted to hit up. If I had a little bit more time, I'd go into a little bit greater detail. But it's a nice thing to add. Just consider that when you do add it to your kit, you're going to expect to have to do all the power wires. Your send keying is still going to be really important. And if you're going down the amp road, particularly in a portable setup, I highly recommend you work with resonant antennas. They're going to be the best thing. Yeah, there's Gordo. I was waiting for Gordo on that one. Yeah. So, and Randy also had a really good point, and actually, I'll bring all of us back in here. Randy had a good point before we went live. He's like, if you add enough boxes, you basically paid for a 100-watt radio that you could just take into the field, right, Randy? What are your thoughts on that?
That's right. Yeah, after a while, it's just all this stuff because you're probably going to forget one cable,
of course,
or a dead battery or something, right? And
it's all over then.
Get it all in one box, and you just flip the switch and make contacts and work a lot of POTA.
Yeah, Gordo, you had a comment there too. I know we mentioned resonant antennas, but do you play around with portable amps or anything like that?
I do, and you're absolutely correct. Keying them properly is very important, because if they don't key properly, you could actually thrash the radio, not so much the amp. So very important.
Yeah, Brent Glass in there would just take the 7300. That's a real, that's a real thing that people consider. I've had multiple people that contact me. The 705 is such a nice, cool, all band, all mode radio, and they just want a little bit extra oomph that, the 7300 is not VHF, UHF. So they want that capability that the 705 provides, but they just want a little extra. And you can do that with a little tiny amplifier without spending a lot of money.
There is no perfect radio.
No.
Randy, say it again and louder.
I said there is no perfect radio.
There is no perfect radio.
Yeah, there is. It's the radio you have handy.
Well, that's
the answer.
That's true.
That's the answer.
What's the other line they always say? What is the enough? When do you say I have enough radios? And it's always the next radio plus one, right? That was the other line. Is that we never run out of the desire to have more radios, right, guys?
Yeah. So where does that amp come from? Not from dealers, but direct?
That's a really good question. I forgot to pull that up. Oh no, I think I did. I got this off of eBay. This is a Micro PA50. There are a number of YouTube videos out there that have already covered this in some detail, and it's really not that bad of a deal. It'll work with the Xiegu radios. It's supposed to work with the Icom radios, but I do have a modified 705 to have the USB-C charging, and I think I have the 12-volt send capability. So that amplifier is probably just not ready for that capability out of the box. But I don't know. I haven't played around with it enough, and I was going to do a little bit of that troubleshooting live, but we kind of ran out of time here, so I want to make sure we let everybody go.
And how does it key? Going to ground will cause it to go to TX?
So if you have the cable connected, yes, but it's also just RF sensing. So if you disconnect, if you disconnect the accessory cable or the send cable, the tip ring sleeve 3.5 millimeter jack, if you manually put it into whichever band you're operating on, so in this case I'm on 40 meters, if I just key up, if you give it a little bit of delay, it's always really good to give it a little bit of delay to get the relays all synced up with you. But yeah, it'll go live just off of RF.
Nice.
And that amp was how much?
$175, which isn't bad for 50 watts. Yeah. So if you compare that, you're always going to pay more as you start getting more expensive. But here's a 100-watt amplifier that's relatively inexpensive, and it's €599. Most of the time, I got to tell you guys, if you're out doing a POTA and you're in a low noise environment, 50 watts will get you what you need.
50 is plenty, yeah.
50's plenty.
I'm thinking for child units, got the 705 there, so. But sometimes she'd like a little more punch.
A little bit, just a little bit. Well, this would be good for a little bit more punch. I like that. Yeah. All right. So I guess we should probably hit the nets here. So Kevin, KC5 FPF on 40 meters is going to likely be on 7.192. K7 UDI 20 meters, if they're still on 20 meters, is going to be at 14.268, or they have or potentially maybe on 75 meters, but I think 20 comes later. I'm not exactly sure how the nets work in that order. I think they would go 275, but hey, we need Amanda here to sort that out. And of course, D-Star nets likely happening on 14 Charlie. So if you have that capability, get in there and get in on those nets. All right, everybody, anything you want to mention before we close things out here?
I do, as a matter of fact. There's a Ham Fest in the New Orleans area this Saturday. It's in Hammond, Louisiana. That's on the other side of Lake Pontchartrain on the North Shore. And it also is, I'm going to be going there. So it's a great little Ham Fest. So if you're in the New Orleans area, come up to Hammond. And also my son Tyler is going to be there, N7TMW. He's coming with me. And it's his 24th birthday. So I'm very happy to be able to spend Tyler's birthday, a father-son Ham Fest day. And then we're going to meet Mom later on and have a late lunch, and then probably a birthday party either late Saturday or sometime Sunday. So happy birthday, Tyler, N7TMW, 24 years, the best kid on the planet. So that's all I got to say.
Brent Glass is giving me a hard call out here. Brent Glass is saying, please mention the NCARC Hamfest this weekend in Northern Colorado. Amanda would have mentioned it, but is not.
Yes,
on
she
the
would.
show. And she absolutely would. So there you go. The Northern Colorado Ham Fest, or Northern Colorado Amateur Radio Club Ham Fest is the acronym there. So make sure you guys go look that up. I don't have the link handy, but please do avail yourself of that. And sadly, Amanda does have COVID, so I don't know that she'll be out there. But we wish her a speedy recovery, and hopefully we'll see her back in 2 weeks. Anybody else have something? Go ahead.
Northeast, all you hams on the Northeast, including you, Steve, come to Orlando. I know you are. I'll see you there as well, and then you'll get warm.
I will be there too, Gordo. So I will see you there as well. You know, what's so funny is that I could see Gordo anytime. I could drive like 20 minutes and go hang out with Gordo, but that's where we catch each other's Ohio or Orlando or these far-flung places.
Quartzfest.
Yeah. That's how we
middle of the desert.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out. We really do appreciate it. And until we talk to you again, 2 weeks. Right. We'll see you in 2 weeks. And go enjoy Quartzfest 73.
Right. Cousin Edgar says 7-3.
See everybody at Quartzfest. Say hi.